All right. Welcome to another session of Authentic Selling Live brought to you by Humantic AI. I've got my good friend Jake Dunlap on today. If you don't know who Jake is, he's the CEO of Skaled, a consulting firm that helps with growth of emerging and enterprise companies by combining sales leadership, operations, enablement, and LinkedIn experts that drive real, measurable business outcomes. Jake's a C-level sales leader and entrepreneur with more than a decade of experience. He has developed and led high-performing sales and operational functions, specializing in building out repeatable, sustainable processes. Jake, how you doing?
I'm good, man. That's a lot there. That's how you know you're getting old, right? Whenever it takes 25 seconds. But no, I'm doing great, man. It's good to connect, Colin. It's been a minute. So I'm excited for the conversation and definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, we've done this a few times. So this is a topic that I think is really relevant for a lot of folks right now as they're trying to rethink what their modern, outbound sales playbook needs to
Yeah.
look like. And I thought that you would be obviously the best person to come in and talk about this topic. But just to kind of kick things off here, and as people are joining here, please feel free to drop any questions in there. We're not going to make you stay around till the end. If we do get a question, in between here, we'll try to bring those up on screen. This is a great opportunity to ask Jake any questions about this topic that we're talking about today. And we want to make it as interactive and as possible for folks. So to kind of kick things off here, Jake, what are you seeing, let's talk a little bit first about what's wrong with the current mindset of a lot of outbound sales playbooks.
Well, look, I mean, we've been hammering outbound for a long time, right? Like outbound's been kind of the play, Jason Limkin in predictable revenue, right? You had seeds, nets, and spears, and spears were outbound and nets as marketing, seeds as PR and stuff like LinkedIn. And, I feel like over the last few years, we've been kind of shrinking the other for more like direct, like we need more and more and more, and it feels good to do more. So there's really kind of two trends, I'd say, Colin, that I think have kind of put us in the place that we're in now. The first is, I call it like the more mindset that, look, we used to live in a world. Let's just rewind like 10 years ago, not that long ago. I mean, we can probably rewind like 8 years ago, 7. And it used to be that every activity an SDR did, or an AE who's doing their own prospecting, was a one-to-one to like correlation to set a meeting. There wasn't like nurturing or send people information or like or comment on a LinkedIn post or, engage with their content. It was, I'm sending an email or call with a call to action with a meeting time. And so measuring activities as the number one metric as a leading indicator to pipeline made sense, right? Like every activity had a call to action to set a meeting. Well, today we keep trying to apply the same sales math and thinking, okay, well, if we just do more activities, well, we can't track a lot of these activities. I can't track all the comments my reps make on a post. I can't track them, a PDF that gets forwarded around 3 times. I can't track a DM that they have one-to-one with a prospect on LinkedIn. And so the more mindset that, hey, if we need to improve results, we just need to do more activities, it's just not working. We did a survey at the beginning of the year, last year to the end of the year, and, roughly 75-80% of teams didn't hit their outbound numbers. And I attribute a lot of that to the more mindset. And as opposed to, okay, hey, we're not hitting numbers. What if we did higher quality outreach? What if we did that? More is easy. More of the same, BS that's not working is easy. And so we tend to default to more. So that's first, Colin. Like if teams are going to be successful, because there's a high likelihood you might not be successful in 2023 if you don't kill the idea that, hey, to hit our number, let's do a power hour. Let's do a power hour. And let's do 600 activities. It's like, nope, still not working. Right. So just some food for thought on more. The second, and again, we can kind of dive into either of these topics as we want to, is the idea of taking a performance management mindset and not performance management people, performance management of performance of sequences and cadences to outbound. And what I mean by that is, and I did a talk in Vegas last week. By the way, I'm doing dry January in 2 days in Vegas, dry. And I didn't gamble. I mean, I'm like, that was like the ultimate test, Colin, was like, If I can do steak dinners with a lot of sales leaders and have like 2 Pellegrinas this big, like I've officially tested my willpower at this point. But I did a talk about this, which is outbound performance management. That look, on marketing, if marketing's spending $100,000, $150,000 a month on performance ads, Google AdWords, social ads, all of the above. I don't know who's at the door. Hopefully my wife will get it. They're easily spending 10 to 20% of that 100 or 150,000 on optimizing the ad performance. They've got a copywriter who changes the copy. They've got a designer who changes the images. And they've got a strategist who looks at the account and says, hey, this is working, this isn't, let's double down, triple down here. Why aren't we doing the same thing with outbound? Like instead, we've got a part-time SDR leader. We got a part-time sales ops person who doesn't know anything about sequence performance. And we're expecting to increase our results. You need to have the exact same team for outbound. You need to have someone who's looking and say, okay, these sequences aren't working. We're going to sunset those sequences. These parts of this sequence are really working. Let me extrapolate steps 4 and 5 here. I'm going to bring those over to these other 3 sequences, and we're going to try that. This step is performing step 4. What happens if you move step 4 to step 2? Hey, copywriter, I need you to rewrite XYZ things for us to try on this next batch. And then 2 weeks later, I do it again. And then 2 weeks later, I do it again. And the data is crazy. If you're optimizing your sequence performance every 2 weeks instead of 5 or 6% every quarter, you're talking about the end of the year generating, almost like, I can't remember. We've got this beautiful graph that's like, if your business was on pace to do 6 million and generated, you'll do closer to like 7.2 just by optimizing every 2 weeks. So just think about, guys, anytime you're pumping tens or hundreds of thousands of data points through a system, optimizing every 3 to 6 months is just reckless. You are begging for terrible results. There's a lot of marketers at this conference, Colin. I said, hey, marketers, if your performance agency came to you and said, yeah, we're just going to run Google ads and we're going to optimize them like once a quarter, once every 6 months, how many of you would fire that agency immediately? 100% of hands went up.
Yeah.
But that's what we're doing with outbound. With outbound, we're like, oh, yeah, you've done some copywriting, SDR leader. Go do that. Oh, yeah, you're obviously a stats guy, SDR leader. No chance, right? Or even sales ops leader. You're not a stats guy. You know how to build workflows in Salesforce. And so if you want outbound to work in 2023, you've got to kill the more mindset, and you need to put in place the right performance management mindset. Call it performance marketing for outbound for your SDR org or your account executive org, or it's just not going to be successful. And so that's a very long answer to a short question, but it's something that I think organizations need to really wake up to.
Yeah. So number one, get rid of the more mindset, and then 2, be optimizing more frequently. Right. So, I mean, how does a sales organization go from, do we even have the right people in place to be able to optimize and to analyze this data to make good decisions?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think a lot of this is somewhat intuitive, hopefully. One is you need a copyright person. Okay. And again, maybe you're like, Jake, how do I find budget for this? Or what do we do? And it doesn't need to be like, I don't know. It's somebody who knows how to write sequences that actually convert. And so, Colin, that's step 1. You need to make sure you have someone, and it can't be a part. Look, it could be a part of a part-time job, but it needs to be dedicated. And that's kind of number 2, which you need to have a set optimization schedule. If you're just doing 4 hours every 2 weeks, it's going to make a huge difference, massive difference on performance. Like, you're killing what's not working. You're doubling down on what's working. You're optimizing. I mean, again, I think intuitively, I don't think anyone could be like, Jake, that's dumb. Right. And then you need the third component is you need a strategist. So again, and maybe it could be your SDR leader. I don't know. But you need someone who knows how to look at data, look at what's performing, or a tool that can help to surface insights, or an agency or something. Obviously, Colin, we do this for organizations. We've got some really big retainers with big companies. We've got a lot of small companies where we're just looking at it for them. Like, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to rewrite. We've got a cool data product that's coming out in partnership with Outreach to start that will help to automate some of this for companies too. But you just need someone who knows how to look at the data. And again, the data will tell you what to do. It says, hey, why is consistently step 4 performing the best? Let's just move step 4 to step 2 and test the hypothesis. And let's do that for 4 weeks. Okay, then let's do this, right? Let me go inspect. Hey, why is Johnny converting so well at step 5, but no one else is? Like, I need to go talk to Johnny. What the hell is he doing? And so, you just need someone who has that layer. It could be an SDR leader if they're given the space to do it.
Yeah.
So you got to give them 4 to 6 hours every 2 weeks to go do this or whatever it is, or hire an agency like ours to do it for you, because again, like just thinking that, it's going to magically happen is a recipe for failure. It's not going to happen. I'm just telling you right now. Like, and again, if you want to know why it's not working, this is why it's not working. Is you're not doing what I'm saying. You're dedicating part of a part-time person and then hoping for like rock star results.
Yeah. Or, I mean, I think a lot of sales organizations definitely are not optimizing frequently enough. And even when they are making changes, are they strategically making them based off data? Like you mentioned there, right? Hey,
it's this one's really working, Colin.
Yeah. So let's just do more. Let's do more of that one.
Oh, dude, this one's crushing it.
Or this one is terrible. Let's scrap it and just write a fresh, brand new one from scratch. Right.
Yeah.
So, exactly. All right. So, and so what are some things, let's talk about personalization, right? Because I know that a lot of your, the scaled outbound, modern sales playbook that you guys put out, a lot of stuff that I read in there is about personalization and how, people are doing, a real crap job at actually personalizing, right?
Correct.
Merge field personalization isn't good enough anymore. So how do teams go about personalizing right in a modern outbound sales playbook?
Yeah, it's a great call out. And man, there's a lot going on. Obviously, the work you guys are doing at Humantic, and there's a lot of really cool things that go into it. And it's interesting. And you could interchange these words. It doesn't matter. And what you consider personalized versus customized, and some people be like, well, it's the same thing. Is it the same? Like maybe there's flavors of it. So I won't argue semantics with anybody or I won't argue humantics with anybody. Colin, if you got my pun there. Yeah. But here's what I would say is that right now, one of the bigger gaps that I see is a lack of understanding of what the people that you actually sell into do. So I'll call this like ICP persona. It's really more persona. That SDR orgs are not being trained on what are trends in these industries. What is actually happening in industrial manufacturing for directors of operations? What is happening in fintech for compliance officers, if that's who you sell into? And the beautiful part is, one, you've got tools like Humantic will help me to understand some of that. But guys, if you're not using Chat GPT, you're crazy. Chat GPT is, for the persona stuff, epic. I mean, like next level, Colin. Like, I typed in there the other day, I'm like, trends in IoT to sell to Keurig. And it's like, here are the trends to, IoT used in coffee brewing companies. Here are the things. And it lists out like 8 things. And then you copy and paste that and say, why does this matter? And then it tells you 4 reasons why that one pain point matters. So if you're looking to do like persona based sequences, oh my God, it's so great. It's just,
the amount of time that it would take, the amount of time it would take you to do that level of research, like just Google search articles, find something that's actually trustworthy, take some notes. Like, I don't understand why some salespeople are scared of Chat GPT. They're like, thinking that it's going to take their job or something.
Yeah. Well, it should allow you to do more of the fun stuff, which gets into the customization, right? Like if I know I can put together a pretty dang good persona base, like it would be, here, let me just get her fired back up. And like, if anyone has a questions, they should ask that.
Yeah. Any questions?
They should ask the question. Man, hold on. I think Chat GPT tends to seize up sometimes because so many people are like using it, but you can type in things like trends with VP of operations in consumer packaged goods. You know what I mean? It's like, holy shit. Like, dude, there's so much good stuff here. So anyway, going back to the difference between like customization and personalization, I think right now you can get a good chunk of the way there to send much better emails than before, ever. So again, so this is great. So I just typed it in within 0.5 seconds. There are several trends Vice President of Operations and Consumer Packages. Number one, supply chain efficiency. With the increasing demand for faster delivery, VPs of Operations are looking ways to streamline their supply. Cost optimization. Dude,
Yeah, I mean,
it's so good. It's so
beauty,
good.
The beauty of that is it's even giving you the answer like in their language, how they would talk about it,
Exactly,
which the sellers
Fucking
are never going to do
bonkers,
unless
man.
they study this stuff.
Bonkers, dude. Oh my God. Like, I think if I'm an SDR, how about this? Like, if I'm in charge of SDRs, I mean, this is what I'm going to train them to do. Because then, like I said, Colin, the best part is I can take any one of these like digital transformation. I'd be like, why does this matter to operations leaders? And then it'll give me 3 more things. So anyway, I digress a little bit just because, I mean, if you don't know about OpenAI and ChatGPT, I mean, just go do it. Also, another great use case. Hey, if you're an SDR and you're having imposter syndrome about posting content on LinkedIn, just go to ChatGPT and like just type in some stuff. The dude, Brian on my team, he's been messing with it a lot. He does a lot of our LinkedIn strategy for clients. And he started doing like, write me a 500-ish word blog post based, or 500 character blog post based on this trend.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Done. I mean, this is wild. I mean, I feel like this is people's first real experience with true AI that is just opening it up to like, look, if you're an SDR today and your skill is hitting send all, yeah, you are going to be replaced. But instead, so let's answer the question, which is the customization piece. So now I've got a very good, what Sam McKenna, right? What is she? Show me, you know me. Is that Sam? Yeah, that's Sam. Sam says, show me, you know me. And that John Barrows has a variation of that. It's a tried and true. Just like, hey, you need to make sure that the persona knows this. I call it this person gets it. They get it. You know, they understand what's happening in my world. Then when you layer on a piece of customization at the very beginning to get the hook, at the very beginning in particular, and I'm going to like everyone listen very, very closely. If you are somebody who generates meetings, this could be one of the most important things that I'll say in the next 20 minutes as we get into this. It doesn't end at the first email. If I could tell you the amount of sequences, I'm guessing, Colin, 90% of sequences, they've got some customization, some of the personalization on the first email, and then they go into generic land.
Yeah.
Stop it. Like, you guys need to be bringing value in every interaction, especially if you're reaching out to executives. Yeah. So anyway,
I love that you brought that up, because that was one of the things
so
that
silly, I think, dude. It's like, dude, everybody archives your first email. It's what happens. So again, it needs to be really good, because then I do want to be able to bring back up some of that insights with like, hey, I sent this over. Particularly, I want you to look at this piece. Tell me if that resonates, you know, and if it does, you know, let me know if I can send some more details, whatever that might look like, you know, for the person.
Yeah. So all right. So I want to ask you a question around that specifically. You know, what are you seeing that's working, or if any, like how many steps should be manual versus automated, if any at all?
I'm a big fan of probably none should be truly automated. I don't think you should have automated steps in your sequences
anymore. Doesn't work.
No. I just don't know why. There's no value. Nobody. How about this? Here's what I would challenge you, and challenge me, by the way. Challenge me. I want you to do this. If you're listening and like, Jake, what do you mean no automation? I want you to go and look at your conversions. I want you to go and look at the data in your sales engagement platform and tell me the percent of people that converted after 100% automated. Now, look, if you're only using automated sequences, then you're cheating, right? It's going to be garbage. I already know what it's going to be. It's going to be garbage.
And let's say you're doing some mass emailing, whatever, like you're going to generate some meetings here and there. But if you look at like, you know, the data, like how like you're seeing like single digit positive reply. That's not good. That's not considered working.
Most people, I would say, with that approach are under 1%, definitely under 2%. And so, look, here's what I will say. Could you, if you had a really good, some of this persona stuff I'm talking about with ChatGPT, you know, could you, you know, somewhat, because here's what I would say, Colin, where I might like backtrack on what I was saying, is if your snippets which are snippets. For those of you who don't know, instead of me having to write a whole email template, I could take a very specific, I could create like 30 or 40 micro persona based snippets that are very customized to a job title or an industry. So what I would say is, if your team is actually really good at that, maybe you've got 100 snippets that allow me to pull in company size, relevant sub industry, and job title, to where it's like, look, in consumer packaged goods versus industrial manufacturing, I know you're industrial man, so it's industrial manufacturing. I've got a list of 2 small industrial manufacturing clients that we work with, and it's specific to what a VP of facility does, and a snippet can do that. Maybe. But again, I guess you're still customizing, right? You're just using a snippet to do it. So I would just say, I don't know of very many relevant reasons why you would throw it away. I think it just feels good. We're doing something. We pinged them, as opposed to what I think it actually takes to, be successful.
Yeah, I'm curious. Have you tested Chat GPT-3 to like see, can it give you specifics on specific people?
I haven't too much. You tell me. You probably know better than I did. I haven't tested too much. I've been messing with more of the other stuff.
Yeah. So let's see. I actually have not.
Let's do this. Hold on. I'm gonna
go right now. Give me
at a meeting. How? Well, it doesn't know a lot. You know what? I have messed with that a little bit. It doesn't know a lot of people. How to set a meeting. Set a meeting with Jake Dunlap. Let's see what Chat GPT.
All right.
Set a meeting with Jake Dunlap. You can take the following steps. Research Jake. Okay, it's just giving me more.
So I've got give me some email research for Jake Dunlap, the CEO of Skaled Consulting.
Oh yes.
Jake Dunlap is the CEO and founder of Skaled Consulting, a consulting firm that specializes in helping companies scale their businesses. He has over 20 years experience in technology industry and have held executive positions at Microsoft, Oracle, and Salesforce. Jake is a frequent speaker at industry events and conferences, including Dreamforce and Oracle Open World. He has been featured in Forbes Entrepreneur.
I haven't actually spoke at Oracle Open World, but hey, if Chat GPT wants to give it to me, I'll take it.
But not too bad. Not too bad.
Not terrible. No, not terrible.
I mean, that was just a quick and dirty. That was a quick and dirty prompt there, right?
Exactly.
So if you got more specific, I think we could nail that.
I bet we could, but this goes back to where, again, like Humantic, right? Like we're not there yet. Again, it's going to be much better at the things that I talked about, that first level of person, like customization or whatever you want to call it, which is like, what are trends in an industry? What are people going through? What are the difference between small business and medium? It's really good at that.
Right.
Really good.
Which is going to help you with, say, 80% of what your messaging should be.
Correct.
Right?
And that could be where you can use some of your follow-up sequences to do some of that too. But again, to go your question before is like, what's working, what's not. So give some more broad strokes, and it's different. I think like the other thing that I want to try to stress with a part of this optimization is that right now, SDRs and salespeople have long been managed to the mean, to the averages. We know it takes X activities to do this, blah, blah, blah. But what if Susan's really good at doing video? What if Jake's really good at content writing? What if Steven's really good on the phone? It doesn't mean they maybe shouldn't do all three, but maybe where they lean in and we focus on, what we call meaningful conversations, which is like, how many people did you actually talk to in a day that are getting you to the right person or are trying to set up a meeting with you, as like a leading indicator versus activities. And that's how we're trying to push all of our clients, 3 or 4 meaningful conversations a day or 5 versus 75 activities, for example. Depends on your business on what the number should be. So, I would say video. I mean, right now I'm still very bullish on video, and it's just pretty pathetic. I don't know why people aren't doing it more.
I don't think I realized how many people still are not. Like, video is been around for quite some time now.
Less than 5% of sellers, maybe less than 2%, maybe.
I just finished up a sequence that I wrote yesterday, and I think we've got at least 3 or 4 video steps in there. All manual steps, nothing automated.
There you go.
And I guess I don't realize why you wouldn't use video. Like, it's such an easy way to stand out. And that's video, even in the LinkedIn DM or replying to an email thread.
The true cheat code, what you just said. So those of you who don't know, you've got to be a first degree connection. There's a little plus button on the mobile, and you can then click video and send a one-to-one. Most people don't even know about this. The other thing that people don't know about is there's a little microphone. If you're in the mobile app, you're a first-degree connection. There's a little microphone. You can click it and leave a voicemail. You can't automate it. I know for a fact a one-to-one DM that gets sent to me via voicemail or a direct video, I know with 100% certainty that is somebody who took the time to send that to me. That you cannot upload it. Right now, you can use other plugins like Vidyard that will, or Bomb, like some of these other ones that will upload it for you. But then I know you could be doing more bulky stuff. As part of this.
And the benefit of doing it that way is it actually is embedded in the DM, right? It's not a link that they have to click out of LinkedIn. There is one sales engagement platform where you can actually do it from the web browser and it sends it like you sent it from a DM.
Nice.
Yeah, which is nice.
Cool.
But I think, and I'm also a fan of not even sending a personal. I know you are too. No personal note in the connection request.
No, yeah, don't do it. I could understand if maybe you're spending 5% of your time with some super high value people that connect with nobody, or you sent a connection request and it's been 3 weeks and nobody's answered, and then you want to try something, go for it. Right? We've done so much research on that before. That's like long since been proven. Do not send the synergies. Do not. We don't.
What I've seen is
like-minded people in their space. I mean,
I was hoping to pick your brain for some feedback.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I will say, when people, because you put out a lot of content too. When people do say, "Hey, Jake, I heard this. I saw this article, and it really resonated. I've been enjoying the content." Those are the people that get connected with first, because you only get 30,000 connections on LinkedIn. I actually need to go and clean out some, which kind of sucks, because then I can't connect with people. It's like, I want to connect with these people. And I was on LinkedIn starting in 2009. So I got a lot of old connections. Again, video. Again, I want to kind of give people some tactical here. Video is working. Those one-to-one DMs, those details. Interacting with people first on LinkedIn. If you guys aren't power users as a sales navigator, you should be. There's some cheat codes with Sales Nav. One is, if you save someone as a lead, you can then every day go to your home page. You can click leads, and then you can put lead filter and click shares and in the news, and it'll just show you all your top prospects that have shared in the last 24 hours. Go start liking and commenting. You're going to click I do this training, with different groups, and I'll say, guys, let's just click on these first 4. And there's like C-level people. And I'll click on them, 0 comments, 1 comment. I'm like, guys, if instead of just, maybe step 1 or step 2 for these high value ones, let's interact on some of their let's comment. They're going to remember you. Colin, you know this, especially in your early days, when you're putting out content and someone comments and they comment twice in a couple of weeks, you remember that person. And you automatically have a positive affinity for them, as long as it's not like, great post, right? So I think
and then when you actually have like a call step in your sequence.
Sure, exactly. Hey, I've been following. I saw this based on what you just said. I thought it was a no-brainer for me to reach out. You're reaching out for a reason. That would be kind of a part of this. Try to have some type of insightful trigger that shows you, that says, "Oh, this thing is why I'm reaching out, because I've this," versus, you're on my call list and you're a big company and my boss told me you're in my territory, which is, what a lot of people. So that's it. And then again, eliminate all the what I call the cheesy personalization. Don't talk about that you went to ASU or you went. Now, the funny part is, if you went to Missouri State, I actually have more of affinity for you. That's where I got my undergrad. Because there's just not that many Missouri State folks in tech, right? So, or in our world. But the call, that's not relevant. To get my attention as a CEO, you need to teach me something. You need to tell me something I don't know. I can already tell you again from my experience, the best hooks are when you have proprietary data about me. It's like you have some type of tool that, pulls together insights around companies or tracking, and you can teach me something about myself and my company, right? At Glassdoor, we had the ultimate cheat code, which was our whole team, and that's why we closed 24 of the Fortune 100 in year 1, right? Wow. Year 1, we went from a 0 to a million MRR in 1 year because we had the cheat code. I could call up a HR leader from Oracle and say, "Hey, Oracle, And my team, we had these templates that would have their personalized and customized data in it. Hey, we've got 200,000 people looking at your profile. The number one job they're interested in is software engineer, and 20% of them have a graduate degree. Do you want to have a conversation? They're like, yes, I do. I do want to have a conversation. We don't talk about reviews. That was rule number one. If you got caught talking about reviews, you got in trouble. Like, we talked about candidates and quality. So if you have information about me, number one. Number two is if you have information about my competitive landscape, proprietary data, like actual data. And then number three is like, my persona, or me, or something relevant. And so that's what cuts through the noise still today. It's those things. And again, it's not the cheesy, like we went to the same college. If we grew up in the same hometown, like it's very specific. I think ASU has like 60,000 undergrad. I got my MBA there, so I really don't have a lot of affinity for it. I mean, I got a lot of friends who went there, but it's just like, if it's very niche personal, then maybe it cuts through. But teach me something. Hey, Jake.
But that stuff's been overused, right?
Way overused. Especially the college thing. Dude, Colin, we were doing the college thing campaign. And for a lot of you, you might think it's novel. I specifically remember Career Builder 2010, maybe 2009. We did a college sweatshirt campaign. And what we did is we got our top 20 prospects. We got sweaters to their alma mater. And then we typed up a letter that taught them. It actually was pretty clever. It was like, hey,
it's like pre-sendoso.
I'm going to, no shit. Exactly. This is a sales assistant packing this shit. And it was like, hey, here are 3 things that you didn't know about Princeton. Boom, boom, boom. And they're like obscure facts. If I know this month about your alma mater, imagine how much I already know about your company. Yeah. Boom. And it crushed. But guess what? You see how I tied it together? It wasn't just, I didn't just say, oh, I didn't go to Princeton, obviously. But like, oh, I went to college too. No, we sent them the physical thing. Hey, if I know these 3 obscure things, imagine what I know about your company right now.
Yeah, that's the key. Okay. That's the key there, is tying it in, because a lot of folks struggle with using something like that and then tying it in to creating some intrigue to actually prompt them to want to have a conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm curious to get your thoughts. We're talking about LinkedIn a bit here. We're talking about personalization, customization, whatever the heck you want to call it, right? But how much should content be a factor in running a successful outbound motion?
And content to me is everything. I mean, it depends on the here's what I would say about most supplemental, or let's call it sales enablement, Colin, or content, which I think you're talking about, Colin, is like, outside of like the email content or video scripting or any of those things, right?
Yeah, like, whether it's engaging or your own original content, like leveraging.
Oh, yeah, I can talk about that. So here's what I would say. The problem with a lot of marketing content is it's not specific enough to actually move the needle. A lot of marketing content, again, it's like, hey, here's how we help manufacturing companies. And in today's world, we expect more. We expect, and so even like with our team, I'll give you an example. One of the things I continue to challenge our marketing team is like, guys, whenever we put out this longer form piece, we need to spend another 8 hours creating 10 different versions that speak to specific stages of companies, right? So we do this, this playbook that's 0 to 20. We did this a couple years ago. We're going to revamp it here coming up this quarter. It's called the 0 to 20 playbook. All the things you need to know. What we then need to be able to do with that content to actually make it successful for the sales team is to say, hey, for you, seed stage company, page 1 is completely different. It all talks about 0 to 1. Yeah. For you, and then the rest of it can be. So I think marketing content is not meeting the customer where they expect to be met because of how we expect to consume information in our personal lives. We expect it to be targeted, very much relevant to us, et cetera. That's the marketing content. Number 2, producing content. Every seller needs to figure out a medium that they feel comfortable with. It could be video, it could be audio, it could be written. Written and video are probably the more common ones. To where you can start to establish credibility within your customer base. Every time you connect with a new person, every time you post a piece of content, they see it. And there's an SDR. God, I cannot remember what company he worked with. His name is Lior. That's all I remember. And Lior figured this shit out. Colin, Lior, he started writing these little short form articles. He basically and the Chat GPT, I already gave you that cheat code on content. And then he would just repurpose shit his company was already putting out, right? So he would see like, oh, my company, and he would have his own take, and he wrote little articles. And then what he did, and he was destroying his, like this numbers wise, he would take the article. Hey, I put out this piece of content. I hope this, if this is something that's top of mind, it would be great to set up a conversation. That tells me as an executive, I'm talking to someone who actually gets it. I'm not talking to someone who's going to qualify me. You know what I mean? So that is how I would think about it, is like, are you, by putting out content as an SDR, you are like basically showing yourself as a domain authority, and that's where I think the miss is for a lot of people.
And I think where a lot of people, I think where a lot of people lose their focus on that piece, where it's like, you got to be putting out content that's relevant to the people that you're trying to connect and, set up conversations with. If you're an SDR putting out sales content, if you don't sell to salespeople, just really doesn't serve you well.
No, not at all. Yeah. That's the interesting part, right? It's like, it doesn't serve you as a part of this. And, you don't need to worry. So many people are worried about imposter syndrome. It's funny. I actually have a client right now, a CEO. It's actually a friend of mine too, here in Austin. And we put together some sequences for him, helping him out around oil and gas, for example. And he doesn't know a lot about it. He knows that they have a solution that can help. He's in the IoT technology space, and they've got like 1 or 2 clients, but he doesn't feel like he knows enough about it to like really outreach. And I'm like, look, you're thinking about this the wrong way. You don't need to be an expert in oil and gas. You need to be an expert in the problems that they have and understanding how you match to those problems. They don't expect you to be like an expert as a part of it. So as an SDR, and I don't, maybe I was delusional. I remember being 26, 27 years old. I was at Career Builder at the time. And I was talking to HR leaders who were double my age, certainly 15, 20 years more experience. I never felt inferior because I knew this. Because I studied. I knew more about this one little part of the world than they did. They might have had all this experience, but I knew more about the talent acquisition and where that ball was headed than they did. And I had value to add. You know what I mean? Like, I had value to add. I could bring that to the table. And I think a lot of SDRs need to realize you don't need to be an expert on everything. You need to be an expert in your little world. And just putting together content or being a content aggregator is fine. Being a content aggregator is more than fine. Hey, look, here's 2 insights. I also like the idea of pulling in. You have a conversation with someone. Wow, that was actually really interesting. Hey, does anyone know? I had a conversation with a client. Here are my big three takeaways on fintech data security today. Great.
Yeah, and that's and there's technology to make that so easy today, where you can just take that, transcribe it, pull a couple nuggets. It's content, it's information that you put, somewhere that's going to make you more knowledgeable or an expert in your space going into the next conversation with somebody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that and that's it, y'all. You know what I mean? Like, it's not really that complex. It's just a little bit of research. And again, to our point, whether it's, you're using Chat GPT or Humantic, like, the research part of it is easier than it's ever been, ever. The bar, my friends, anybody listening, the bar right now to cut through the noise is so low. God, it's an exciting time, man. I would be excited to be an SDR right now. I'd look at the shit my peers are saying, and I'd be like, you guys, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do this much different. I'm going to spend an extra, and I'm going to have to work less and get more results. So yeah.
I think that's, if we kind of summed everything up, right? Get away from the more mentality and get into the less, right? More quality, right? Doing things well. You don't have to do it with as many people, right? Yep. And use the power of technology that's available today. Like, it's like you said, it's an exciting time. There's a lot of things available, like ChatGPT 3, even, Humantic. We help folks personalize to the person, where they can actually write the way that those people want to read. And the results that we see are pretty phenomenal. So, I love a couple of things that I love from our conversation today is no automated steps. I love that. I don't think there's very many people that are operating with 0 automated steps in their sequence.
Yeah. I just don't know why. What's the point? Is it working? If it's working, here's the thing. If it works, great, go for it. Keep doing it. I don't care, but like for a lot of you, it's not working. And so again, and if you are going to do the automation, I guess to my point is make the automation good. Make it, again, these insights are so easy to pull out. If you've got a VP of operations in industrial manufacturing sequence, use these snippets to make it automated. And that'll be better, right? Than just like blanket. Following up on my last email, in case you don't remember, we do that. I mean, Colin, I'm being dead serious. I don't know, 5 to 10 a day I get of outbound emails.
Oh, yeah.
Colin, man, I would guess I could count on one hand a month how many of them are actually personalized. Who even knows what a CEO of a professional services company cares about? Or two, anything about me. And I got a lot of publicly available information. I got a lot. Like there's a million things you could pull to try to set up the meeting with me. And so, guys, the bar is low, which should be exciting. Should be exciting.
Yeah, and I think that the big one that we really touched on briefly is optimizing more frequently. Every quarter, twice a year is not good enough for optimizing your sequence. And I love the example that you gave where if you're running paid ads, right, and you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, which people are easily spending on their outbound motion,
you're hiring an agency to do that. It's just like, of course we are, Jake. That would be lunacy that we would optimize that in the 6 month. Of course we're going to spend 10 to 20%. Why isn't the mindset the same, Colin? Why you have to explain it to me.
Yeah. So thanks everybody who joined today. Appreciate it. Any questions for Jake before we wrap things up?
Jake, they'll figure it out. Maybe, hopefully. I hope it's helpful.
Jake, any final thoughts? Anything that we didn't touch on that we should have?
No, man. I think we've covered a lot there. Outbound is going to be a major muscle. The bar is so low. Be excited about everything I'm talking about. Don't be. Hopefully, don't you're not too daunted, because there's just a lot of opportunity. I mean, a ton of opportunity, and just embrace it. So that's my parting thought for you.
Awesome. If we don't have any questions, we'll wrap things up. Jake, awesome conversation. Thanks for making time today. Really appreciate it. Tons of value in this session today. So hopefully there's some takeaways that people can take and implement to have a more modern outbound sales playbook for 2023.
Cool. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.